is a business specialist, a premier banker with Flushing Bank. In this role, Doneath coordinates a team providing all aspects of business services, including financial and wealth planning. A big believer in the power of small business and supports startups through all stages, Doneath is a qualified translator who is fluent in 5 languages, including Hindi and Farsi. Doneath is no stranger to banking and money management, having spent 14 years in various aspects of the banking industry, where she has repeatedly been recognized as a top performer. Prior to starting her career in the banking business, Doneath spent 8 years as a fashion coordinator with the Ralph Lauren Group, and before joining Flushing Bank in 2001, Doneath worked for many years for a diverse range of organizations, including Women in Crisis. In this role, Doneath was responsible for getting abused women out of violent homes and helping them start over. Drawing on several years' experience in banking, Doneath now focuses mainly on business development and long-term financial planning. After 9 surgeries and ongoing rehabilitation to overcome a physical disability, Doneath is now able to walk completely without aid and focuses on helping others to get over life's obstacles. Doneath's varied background in foreign languages, fashion, and aiding women provided the perfect foundation for helping women plan their future, and she is here today to speak to you. Let's put our hands together and welcome Doneath Powell.
Hi. Let's talk about money. That's what we came here for today. Carlene touched on life insurance. Now I want to ask you, how many of you have long-term care insurance? Long-term care insurance. Long-term care. What happens if you get injured, you're sick, you can't take care of your family? The speaker from Wells Fargo was diagnosed with an illness she spoke of today. What happens if she cannot work and pay her portion of the mortgage? How is that paid? How is that covered? As women, we're told to talk of our children and we're supposed to worry about the house. Let's talk about how to build our own. Let's have our bank accounts. Let's know every account that's in your home. You should know of it. You may not be on all these accounts, but you should know how to access these accounts, and you should have access to funds if you need to get away quickly. If you need to walk away, you need to have money to do so. How many of you know what mad money is? We call it different things in different countries. How many of you have it on you? We have that little money tucked away in a corner of our wallet that we keep there. If you go on a date and your date pulls out a calculator, you pay for your dinner. If he gets fresh, you pay for your cab home. When you're in your 20s, in your 30s, a couple $100 tucked in a corner. When you're in your 40s, like I am, you keep $10,000. You need to have that money readily available where no one else has access to it, ever. Let me explain why. Let me just start with a story. I have a mentor who I go to with all my questions now. Let me tell you her story. She got married in her 20s, man of her dreams, a lovely man, 3 beautiful children. She's worked in banking, they buy a home, both their paychecks go into a direct deposit account. Sounds great. The bills get paid from that account. If she needs money every Sunday, he goes, he fills up her tank for the week and takes home money for household expenses in case they need cash. Sounds great. The kids are in private school. Isn't that nice? Everything is going well. She has an aunt that lives nearby. That's her escape. If anything happens, you need to have that place you can go to. As Tawana just said, I've worked with women who need to get out of these situations. You need to have that place to run to. You need to have money to get there. Well, she had her aunt. She lived, I believe, 3 miles away. Her aunt was her go-to person. She comes home from work, picks up the kids from school. She goes inside. The police know. There is a message on her voicemail first. Call your child's doctor. Call immediately the 2 messages from the doctor's office. She never listened to the other messages. You would think that's the worst thing as a parent you can hear. It's not. She never returned that call because her doorbell was ringing. She answered the door, it was the police. The aunt she's supposed to run to was bludgeoned to death. This is her middle class. It's okay, she's stressed. Her husband comes home immediately from work. He helps her, they plan the funeral, they talk to the cops. Everything is working out. It's sad, but you're trying to do the best for you and your children. Just try to remember that phone call she never returned to her child's doctor. They use their savings now to pay for that aunt's funeral. She has a key to the aunt's home, but it's a crime scene. She gives it to the cops. She now has nowhere to go, but she has a husband. She doesn't have to go anywhere. The husband drives the family back to the airport after the funeral. Everything is great. The police come back. It's 2 weeks after the funeral, and they said, we need to talk to you guys separately. Because someone has to stay here with the children, the cops are going to say that. They're not going to say because your husband's a suspect. They say, we need to talk to you guys separately. One of you stay with the children. The other one will go to the precinct and speak to the cops. She goes first. The cops stay with the children. The husband goes. Cops stay with them. No question. They're talking. She serves them coffee. Her husband doesn't come home. Everything is in a joint account. She doesn't worry about money. You're not thinking about money. My aunt's dead, I'm grieving, why isn't he coming home? You're upset, you get up, you just go to work the next morning. You're upset, how dare him not come home at a time like this? You take your kids to school, you come home. The cops are waiting when you get home. It seems the person that bludgeoned your aunt to death was your husband. This happened fairly close to here. The person that bludgeoned your aunt to death is your husband. He's now arrested, but it's tough. You're going to the cops, you're going to talk to attorneys, you're just spending your days doing that. You're missing days at work. You never return that call to your child's doctor. Everything, you're trying your best. You still have a job. You are not even thinking of money. So many things are going wrong. Money does not come up. She picks up her kids. About a week later, comes home. The marshals have put a lock on her front door. It seems he had stopped paying the mortgage. He had stopped paying the mortgage, and the money that went into the joint account, he was having transferred to a savings account in his name only. So both your paycheck go in, it goes in it. Now he's used that account to pay his lawyers. You have nothing. You have that mad money, which we spoke of, in the corner of your wallet, and you have 3 children, you're in a car, and you have nowhere to sleep. Do you buy food? Or do you go pay for a hotel for a night with that $50 you have tucked in your wallet? You have 3 children, what do you do? The place you would run to, you can't go there. What do you do? You've not planned for this. Again, you still have not returned that phone call to your child's doctor. So you go and you go to the cemetery to visit your aunt. You end up sleeping there because you have nowhere else to sleep. You sleep at the cemetery because that's where you have your children, you pretend you're camping, you do the best. You still have a job, you can't say I don't have a home, I can't show up for work. Your boss doesn't care about these things. So the kids are in school, that's one way. So they're in school, you go to work, you pick them up at school late every day, because when that is over, you sleep in the car. You have nothing. This happened on a Wednesday, I believe, so you get paid on Friday. You finally check into a hotel, but you cannot check into a good one because you need to find an apartment. Finally, you stop at the school, and the school said, your child's doctor called us, they were trying to reach you. You didn't have a phone anymore, you weren't home. The school, you call the doctor tells you your child is going blind. Going blind and needs surgery immediately. But you had the middle class life, you had a husband, all the bills were paid, your kids were in private school. You just went from that because you trusted that your paycheck was going in. You weren't using all of it, you had money. Your child is going blind, the surgery is $3,500. You don't have $100. To prevent her from going blind, you need to do the surgery as possible. What do you do at this point? Anyone can come up with an idea now. What do you do at this point? Anyone? Sell the car you're sleeping in. The car, you have enough hotel for now, but you sell the car. So with whatever extra money you pay for the surgery, whatever extra money you can pay the 1 month's rent and the 1 month's security. You have somewhere you're starting over. You have nothing. You just went from living in a $500,000 home with your kids in private school. You had, as far as your calculations, at least $50,000 in the bank. You have nothing. You don't have a home, which is why it's so important for you to have a separate account. I stress this in my years in working in a shelter, in everything I do. Have your own, have a joint account, have your paycheck go in that account. Take some out of that account and put in a separate savings account that no one has access to. Because that money could save you and your children from living on the streets. You think you have it because you have the American dream. You have a husband, the 3 children, you have a nice home. That can go away. Manage your money. Know everything that goes on in your house. Know where that money is at all times. Do something separate for yourself. I touched on long-term care. If that child had long-term care insurance, you don't do that because you're like, who needs that? If that child had it, it would have been covered and your expenses are covered for the time you need that treatment. I had my 3rd surgery, I believe. I wasn't expected to walk upright. I wasn't expected to walk straight. I wasn't expected to do many things. So I finally got into the surgery program. And I'm like, I'm excited. I have health insurance. I've paid health insurance my whole life. It's not covered. It's $130,000. So I spend every penny I've worked for my entire life to pay for the surgery. Now I can't walk. How do I support myself for the next year while I do rehabilitation? How do you do that? Long-term care insurance. If you get hurt or you are injured in any way and cannot work, life insurance is great if you pass away. It helps your beneficiaries. What helps you so you don't lose your home, you don't go hungry, and you don't pretty much end up on the streets because you're hurt? How many of you would consider getting long-term care? How many of you have husbands with long-term care insurance? How much money do you have put aside for an emergency? The mad money in your wallet is great and it's necessary. If you are an adult, you need $10,000. You need to be able to pay first month's rent and security, furnish your home, and if you have an illness, to pay those co-pays. That's what you need to have. Now let's talk about how to get there. We don't have money sitting around in a corner. We don't have excess money. We have to figure a way to get to this $10,000 at least that you need to have. How do you get there? What can you cut out in your life? For me, I drink probably 5 cups of coffee per day at $2.50 each. If I cut back on half that coffee, that's a little over $5 every day. $5 per day at the end of the month is $150. At the end of the year is $1,800. Just by cutting back on half the coffee I drink. So we need to think, we don't have money, we don't have excess money, but it's the little things we buy that we don't necessarily need, but we feel we need. How many of you have a wallet that's worth more than what's in your wallet? Yes. I've had that once. I remember the same woman who had the story with the 3 daughters. I remember I was at work one day, I was about 35, and I'm sitting and I'm like, Saks is having a sale and Barney's is having a sale. What do I do? And she looked at me like she wanted to hit me. She said, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? She's like, it's fine to like nice things. You buy one of those things per year. And the money you use for the other, you put it aside. She's like, you never know when you need it. I'm like, no, I'm good. I have insurance. I have long-term care insurance. She told this to me a few years ago. You're thinking, okay, I've planned for my future. I have the 401k, everything Carlene spoke of. I had it. Sounds great, doesn't it? In December of 2013, HR calls you, you have to plan for the next year, how much you're getting in savings, bank, life insurance, and all those things. I thought, okay, since I'm doing that at work, let me do it in my private life. I'm gonna change my insurance. This was December 15th. That's the cutoff time, Carlene. December 15th, you had to do this. They sent me the papers to make the change to my insurance. I've been paying insurance for about 20 years. Send me the papers. I was going on vacation, I couldn't care less. January, I came back from vacation. My first day at work, I collapsed in the vault, had a heart attack. But I had insurance. I had insurance for immediate care. I had a funds plan in case of such an emergency, except for one thing. That life insurance paper, that insurance document that I never signed and sent back, my insurance is now invalid. My insurance, yeah, my insurance became invalid because I never signed those documents. I said I was making changes. My health insurance is fine, I have some insurance, but the insurance I will think, okay, I have this money, is now invalid. And if you have had a heart attack, you're uninsurable. So you can't go and apply for new insurance because one of the first health questions they ask you is, have you had a heart attack? Do you have high blood pressure? I'm now uninsurable. I've been paying insurance my whole life. And because I wasted that 5 minutes it would have taken to sign those documents and mail it back in, I lost $250,000 in insurance. So I'm talking to you today because I've lived this. I know what tiny little mistakes and stupid things can do. Because just me, I was that 20-year, when I was in my 20s. I'd go to Saks and I'd buy a bag for $3,000, I'd buy another one for $4,000 and have to cash the train home because I have no money left because I just used all of it. I was that person. I was that person. And then I worked at Ralph Lauren, so I got the clothes for free. Now I need the bags and the shoes to go with it. I need the bag, I need the shoes. I would go in Gucci and spend $10,000 and go, okay, what do I eat Tuesday? I could eat ramen noodle Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I get paid Friday, I'll be okay. So we, as women, we're just thinking, okay, we don't have the money, so we won't save. You don't have to have the money. Cut back on that coffee. Don't buy that bag. That $700 shoes, wait till it goes on sale for $300. Just those little things. And when you have that household money that you take out for the house each week, take $10 out of it and put aside separately for yourself. Because you never know when you need to take your children and just go. You need to get your children out of a situation. How do you pay for this? The little things. Home ownership. If you're living in a house and that house is not in your name, you're paying someone else's mortgage. I don't care if it's your husband, your boyfriend, your family. If that house is not in your name, you're paying someone's mortgage. I once said to my boss when she suggested I buy a home, years ago, she suggested I buy a home. I said, I can't afford the mortgage. She said, you're paying mortgage, it's just not yours. You're already paying mortgage, you're not paying yours. You need to own something. You cannot build wealth if you own nothing. Don't say, oh, my husband owns a house or we own a house. We don't own a house. He has a house. He can put you out. It's not in your name, he can put you out. And if he happens to be making less than you are at that particular time, you're paying him alimony to pay that mortgage. So be aware. Plan for insurance, get long-term care insurance, get life insurance, have a separate bank account, and plan for emergencies. Always plan for those emergencies because you never know when your perfect life will go to hell. Okay, that's all I have.